It's a much anticipated Unmuted Nation. Welcome to Unmuted Nation. I'm Alex Haynes, and welcome. For a special broadcast tonight, I am convening the cabinet, and we're having a discussion, a family discussion, I like to call it that, about something that's happening in our country, something that we are all a part of, and something that we've all been waiting for. With bated breath, so many people have been waiting for the presidential candidate, Joe Biden, to announce his running mate. And that happened today. And so, of course, everyone's talking about it. And whether you are really into politics or it's not really your thing, it's something that affects you. And one way or the other, you have an opinion, you've heard an opinion, and some of you are forming opinions that you've heard other people make for you. And so, really, to alleviate some of that tension and expand the conversation, I'm bringing a group of people, great people together tonight to talk about it. So if you know somebody that is on the fence about the election, and they can remain on the fence, there's no need or any pressure to make a decision tonight, invite them to this conversation, bring them into this conversation, share this feed wherever you're listening or watching, bring them into the conversation so that they can be a part. We're taking your calls, no calls. We're not on the radio, but we're taking your comments. Unmuted Nation. Use the hashtag Unmuted Nation on Twitter. We will be reading some of those comments tonight. Also, you can tweet us at Unmuted Nation. That's the best way to get your comment into the conversation that we're having today. If you have questions, do the same thing. Tweet it, and my team will make sure that we kick things off. Joining me tonight. Often my partner in crime in so many ways, but also the host of Tiff Talks here on Boss FM. Tiffanie Lanelle is joining me for Unmuted Nation. Tiff, welcome.
Well, what's up? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm happy you're here. So, huge announcement today happened in the middle of the day as we were preparing for it to happen sometime this week. Before we talk about facts and lay everything out, and I think we're going to do a good job of that. I think we pulled the right people into this conversation, people that I trust their perspective, I trust their opinion, and I trust their viewpoint. They're going to share tonight. When you, well, up until this point, how are you feeling about the election overall?
Optimistically present. I think that we have to kind of deal with what we have at the moment. I don't think that this is necessarily everyone's favorite election or favorite ideal kind of situation, but this is the epitome of it is what it is in this moment. And I think a lot of people are just anything but Trump. But in the beginning, I was really just waiting for us to get down from the 150 Democratic candidates that we had at first. And then they just slowly started to, dwindle down. Politics is just politics. So I think that, we've come to the point where now we had this huge announcement today, like you said, and we have to kind of let the chips fall where they may, deal with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and see if we can just make it through this 2020 election and really just this trash year of 2020 in general, to be honest. So
I feel it. I feel it. And I want to kind of lay the land here, right? There's so many people that have a piece of this pie, right? So it's not just one group of people making the decision for who becomes the next president. And I think so many people lose sight of that. This time, and as always, we have another group of people that have never been able to vote that will be able to vote this year. And then we've got a number of people that are aging out. Some of them will pass on, and they will no longer be able to share their votes with us. I didn't have a better way to say that. I think a lot of times we're focused on the people that have voted before, and a lot of times where we miss it in elections is we don't focus on the people that can vote or haven't voted or may be inspired to vote. One thing that we are looking at this go round is Generation Z coming to the table. And a lot of them have vocalized their thoughts and opinions, and some of them are way further than a lot of us are willing to acknowledge But I think that may be part of the problem. So as we kind of go into this, I want to kind of lay the land and talk about where we are as a country. And let's be honest about where we've been. There for 43 times been a president elected in this country, and every single time he was old and white. Like every single time that a president has been elected in this country, except one time, he's been old and white. And so there's been this huge rally to ensure that old and white never happens again. But I don't think that we should be surprised that we ended up with old and white. So there are so many people that like this is their first time. And I've had conversations around this specifically many times. People thinking, like, I didn't think adulthood was anything like this. I thought I would have more of a voice. I thought things would be different when I got to vote. And I'm like, what? One person, like one time, made you believe that you would be able to have a full, multiple options of who and what to vote for. And so that I think coming into this, we have to keep that at the forefront of the conversation. That's where a lot of people, like a lot of the younger voting electorate, they don't really have a frame of reference. They can look at history and see that we've had old and white forever. But they grew up in a time that for half of their life, there was a Black man in the office. And so they feel like that's an office that is accessible to anybody. Bringing some more voices into this conversation, Tiff, and I know that when you think old and white, like, what? Before Barack Obama, had you ever believed that you would see a different type of look in the American White House?
I think I was hopeful. I was very, very hopeful. I was in college when Obama was elected. And I think that leading up to that, I didn't have the sense that we were in a post-racial world. Or a post-racial America. I've never felt that way. But I did think that we had progressed enough that we could see something different than old white male in the White House. I was hopeful about that. Did I think we were ready for Hillary? No. But was I hopeful for something different at least? Absolutely, yes. Did I think that it would be a Black man? No, not anytime soon. So I think that I find myself always having to find the balance between hopefulness and realism when it comes to politics, and especially when it comes to politics in this country. It's very difficult for me to stay on that hopeful side when there's just so much going on and so much that kind of goes against that in terms of, what we're actually going to see in politics. We're still getting a lot of first Black this, first person of color this, first female this, first Asian American this. So I just, hopeful but realistic.
Gotcha. Well, there's plenty of time for us to go back and forth, and we do that all the time. So I want to bring some other people into the conversation. Joining us first, I want to bring in Josh to the conversation, and we'll start with Josh, and I'll kind of trickle them in because I think there are a lot of different perspectives here tonight. Josh, when you heard Kamala Harris as the pick, the VP pick, what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts were that this was to be expected. I feel that this was his best, the best pick out of everybody that was possibly in running for it. While yes, I always had my challenges with her prosecutorial past in California as Attorney General. She definitely she came onto the national stage, and when you look at, like I said, when you look at everybody who was potentially in running for it, I feel that this was about his best choice. I think the reason I say it's his best choice, Biden and the campaign is running up against how do we excite our base, but also at the same time, how can we potentially get voters that once voted for Obama in 2008, 2016, that might have switched over to Trump in 2016. I'm sorry, I said they were in 2008, 2012 for Obama, and who voted for Trump in 2016. How do we not piss them off too much? Possibly with the vice presidential candidate. And given who was on there, Biden definitely felt, and I agree with, he needed to pick a woman of color. I think that was the best. I think this was his best bet.
Got it. I see. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure because I think that, like I said, 43 times there was a white man and a white man as the vice president, and that's just what we have seen. There was a lot of talk about Black women being owed this pick, and so I want to jump to Jasmine. And Jasmine, when you heard the news of Kamala Harris being picked, what were your thoughts? First thoughts.
Sorry, I was muted. I agree with Josh. I thought it was a safe pick. I thought it was, all things considered, probably the best. And I am one of those people who, I freely admit that I am not the biggest supporter or believer in politics, period. And even for me, I thought that this was the best way to go. It did encourage me. I was already really, my percentage of voting in this election was already in like the 90 percentile, and this definitely encouraged me even more so to make sure I exercise my vote. Yeah, so initial thoughts, I called you. I said, I thought this was really good for Joe. I thought he made a great pick. I think with, the voters that want Joe Biden, and then the people that want Kamala, as they call her on the Twitters, the people that want him and that want her, I think that's a really good pool of people. So I think he has a really good chance. I think he just, sealed the deal for himself.
Very cool. So I think with Kamala, or Kamala, as Black Twitter calls her, or called her while she was, the presumptive, do you think that people that have been, because we've had a lot of people, like there are so many things happening right now. So Kanye West is really, really intent on placing himself on ballots in different states, as well as the number of people that are saying that Bernie or bust, that they were still looking to vote for Bernie in 2020 regardless. And I from what I hear from some groups, like this is not the mass, but I do hear from some groups, is that they are totally open to sending us back to 2016, where people were voting for Harambe and Hennessy and their grandmother and things like that on these ballots, wasting time, wasting your time, wasting my time, wasting the time on something that will never happen. If he's not on the ballot, it's not worth it. And I'm gonna bring in another viewpoint for a second, because if he's not on the ballot, like, why waste the vote? But if he is on the ballot, there's an entire generation that is not convinced that old and white is the way, regardless of who his VP pick is. I'm gonna bring Jaleesa in for a second, and she's part of Generation Z. When you are, what I hear from Generation Z, left and right, all the time, is that we just need another Black man. And they just refuse. Kanye, despite the barriers of what we see or the frustration that people have with him, they feel like he's an option. Jaleesa, when you heard about Kamala Harris today, what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thought was like, okay, Black VP. All right, let's get it done. Black woman VP. Okay. But at the same time, I feel like Kamala Harris doesn't really grind our gears the right way. She's for women's prison reform. She's locking up kids for weed charges and blocking evidence for innocent Black men on death row. So I just feel like we don't have anything else besides Trump. So obviously this is just the vote to do.
Do people, like your friends, do they feel the same way? Do they feel like it's anybody but Trump, or do they feel like, there are options?
Not my friends feel like there are options, but there are people that I know in my generation that feel like there are options, like Kanye. I personally have no idea why my generation thinks that it's okay to vote for Kanye. But I just know for my friends personally, like for Joe Biden and Camilla, because we're just not doing Trump. Anything but Trump at this point is what my generation is saying.
Got you. Really good, really insightful.
That's interesting. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that's something to be said. Like, what we know about Gen Z is like they love a coolness factor, right? And I think that's the thing that Biden and Kamala kind of miss. Like, obviously, Kamala has it a little bit more than Joe Biden does, but I think that's probably why Gen Z is like Kanye West is a viable candidate because he's just a lot cooler than them. And I've said a lot that that's the way to get like a younger vote. It's like you have to have some type of swagger, like something that makes you cool for you to resonate with like young people.
I think you make a great point. And so now I want to bring Kia into the conversation because Kia, before I ask you about your initial thoughts when you heard about Joe Biden or Kamala being the choice for VP, do you feel like your president needs to have swagger?
So I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden did have swagger. And Kamala had swagger. They were like the cool people in the corner. So that speaks volumes. I don't think that is the largest requirement. I think Barack Obama spoiled us with his swagger, a swagger that we had never seen before in the White House. So if that is all you've ever seen, you may be looking for that again. But I'm someone who had to vote for Al Gore, John Kerry. I'm used to voting for people whose policies benefit me more, but they have absolutely no swagger and really lack a lot of personality as well.
Donald Trump has already spoken on Kamala Harris. So if you haven't seen it, we have the clip of what he had to say the day after Kamala Harris was announced as the VP. This is him from his coronavirus briefing today that obviously we know is a hate rally.
Regarding Senator Harris's record, you had a pretty quick response to that. You had an ad out that said that she was a phony, and I wanted to drill down.
She was a what?
A phony. And I wanted to ask about a specific example that a lot of people thought was a phony moment. As San Francisco DA, she oversaw, according to the Mercury News, 1,900 marijuana convictions. But she was asked in an interview last year if she had smoked marijuana, and she appeared to joke and, according to some people, lie and say that she was listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac while their music hadn't come out at the time, while she said she was smoking pot, listening to it. Why would she lie about that? Do you see that as more evidence? Is her past on marijuana a liability?
Well, she lied. I mean, she said things that were untrue. She is a person that's told many stories that weren't true. She's very big into raising taxes. She wants to slash funds for our military at a level that nobody can even believe. She is against fracking. She's against petroleum products. I mean, how do you do that and go into Pennsylvania or Ohio or Oklahoma or the great state of Texas? She's against fracking. Fracking's a big deal. She's in favor of socialized medicine, where you're going to lose your doctors, you're going to lose your plans. She wants to take your health care plans away from 180 million Americans. 180 million Americans that are very happy with their health insurance, and she wants to take that away. So she was my number one pick. I mean, she was, as they would say, because hopefully you'll start college football, she was my number one draft pick. And we'll see how she works out. She did very, very poorly in the primaries, as you know. She was expected to do well, and she ended up at right around 2% and spent a lot of money. She had a lot of things happening, and so I was a little surprised that he picked her. I've been watching her for a long time, and I was a little surprised. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing, the way she treated now Justice Kavanaugh. And I won't forget that soon. So she did very poorly in the primaries, and now she's chosen. So let's see how that all works out.
Or is a marijuana legalization vote for you?
Okay, enough of that. Pharaoh, when you heard the news that Donald Trump had chosen Kamala Harris, we'll talk about Donald in a moment. What were your initial thoughts?
You mean Joe Biden, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. My initial thoughts on that, I think Kamala Harris has a lot of she has a lot of the foundational things that we're looking for in terms of reform. I think she has her rhetoric in terms of in the primary was in line with a lot of the issues I think that need to be tackled. And ultimately she's a radicalist. I think she ultimately is someone that is invested in not just tweaking a lot of things about the system, but completely redesigning them. And with that, I think there is going to be a lot of criticism. Her past in and criminal reform some things are questionable, but I think you have to also consider her level of the level she was on to receive specific knowledge and in the moment. And it's one thing to be the head of something, but it's another to know all the gears that kind of like go with the whole organization. So I think
Okay.
she's a great pick.
So I want you to say, because I think you said a mouthful, and Tiff, I want your thoughts on that as well, because I think using specific words, I think radicalist, that word specifically, to hear that word. When you also said that you felt like that she was in the moment when she made a lot of the decisions, when she held the roles that she held in the past. When it comes to how that helps her or hurts her, do you feel like for you that helped with you feeling good about her being in this position?
I will not say, I think there is an accountability there that I think she must take, or she had to take. I'll say that she had to take about a lot of the decisions that were made with her name on the dotted line during that time. I think in terms of her being selected today, I look at this moment in politics more of on a scientific aspect than a political aspect. Whereas, as if you look at a lot of scientists, or you look at a scientist, you understand that science develops. You have information at that moment, but as time goes on, you know more. You're able to do more. You're able to assimilate to what the needs really are in that moment. I think ultimately that's what she can do now. So in terms of how
So
I
now
took,
I don't want to cut you off, but to be frank, you're really asking people to just really have some belief or faith in her potential, not just in her abilities. Because if she is in the moment, what is the difference between being in a role that you're prosecuting crimes and the vice president? That's also a leadership role that yields a lot of respect and honor, and there's tons of expectations there, especially because the person that you are the vice president for, or you're becoming vice president for, is 78 or 77, will be 78 years old when he takes office. Let's say it that way.
I
And
think that
so
there's a.
people,
I'm sorry.
well, people, I'll let you finish, but I want to say that people that make the decision to vote for Joe Biden, many of them are being fed, and the Republican Party is set on informing people. And I also believe that this will be part of the framing, and we'll talk about this, that you're not voting for Joe Biden, you're voting for his vice president. So you're not voting for, I mean, there's no real way for them not to say, he could die at any moment. And that's not me being morbid. This is just me talking about, as you said, science and humanity. At 78, there's any moment he could pass away. People, essentially, your vote could be, that framing isn't necessarily wrong. Tiff, do you think that hurts or helps Kamala in November?
I think that, one, let me back up and say that I completely understand the position of having hope for Kamala's I forgot the word you just used already, potential. But I think that there's a lot that can hurt. I think that there, of course, alternatives are going to use everything in their power to hurt Kamala, and to hurt the ticket altogether. But I think that it can do both. I think it's going to depend. It's going to depend heavily on some of the positions that Kamala did not stand firm on when she was running for president herself. She's going to have to stand firm, make a decision, make a choice. And they're going to have to really be in sync, Biden and Kamala, that is, to make sure that they are getting a clear message across. But I think that at the end of the day, where we are right now, we got to combat those who, as you mentioned, are going to vote for Harambe or Kanye, and really just deal with getting Trump out of office. 45 just cannot happen. So I think if we can kind of get some cohesiveness between Biden and Kamala, get them to really make some choices and decisions that weren't really made or well communicated before, then we can combat some of those things that might kind of be negatives, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And I think that we are going to see something a little different. I'm going to bring some more people back to the conversation, because I think that one of my main criticisms of Kamala during the primary race was that she skated on a lot of issues. She laughed her way through questions. She smiled her way through questions. She said it's something that we can have a conversation about. And unlike previous generations, not just the Zennials, I mean, Generation X is a part of this as well. The Generation X, the Zennials, Millennials, and Gen Z, we don't want to have a conversation with you later if you are in the primary. We want to have the conversation now. And we're no longer at, you can only speak to us when there's a camera in your face. Now, cameras are in your face all day. You have a camera with you. And so if you're like other politicians coming into the fray, like, think about it this way. A lot of Gen Z is really, if they are into politics at all, there's no way they don't know who AOC is. And she's speaking to them all day, every day, about what she feels, what she believes, and whether you agree with her or disagree with her, she is accessible. She is available, and her points are on the line. So you have a generation that's been brought into politics. It's no surprise that she'll be speaking at the DNC, because she has an excited base that is typically dormant. Until I was talking to my grandmother over the weekend, and I'm like, there's literally there was no reason in this country for you to want to vote until you were like, either you had a bone to pick with Uncle Sam, or you were feeling the effects of you not voting. And so that's when people start to get enlightened or become enlightened around politics. We have a generation that has been enlightened before, and like we saw with Trump's rally in Tulsa, Generation Z will speak and they will be heard in this election. So I don't think that Kamala is going to be able to get by with, me and Joe are having the conversations. That's not enough. Like, I think that if we were owed a Black woman, now this Black woman and this old man owe us much more than that. Kia, when you think about this generally, what do you think Kamala is going to be able to get away with this time?
Definitely not that. I think what she did is what makes her, I think what she did is political. That's what politicians do. I think that also reminds me that I think Kamala is the best possible politician, is that she wants to do right by the people, but she will do with right as far as she will do as much right as it is popular. So that's where it comes back on us to do the work, to work with organizations, to always be pushing Kamala and Joe to be more progressive, to be more inclusive, and to have policies that are working for the people. So it annoys me when people don't have firm values that they stand on, but I also see Kamala as a politician who wants to do what's good and popular. So it's on us to make what we need good and popular so that they can get it done.
In that same vein, I have a question with you about standing firm, because I think that is also a quality that a lot of people, one of the things that I admire about Generation Z specifically, you see it in other generations as we kind of trickle into Z, but it's that they stand in their truth all the time, 100%. Yeah. I want to bring Jazz back to the conversation, because I'm reminded of a time where Kamala was asked the question about, like, what does she listen to, or what, like, there was a series of questions, and it blew up on Twitter. And I understand some other social networks don't really understand where things really blow up first, but when it blows up there, like, it's a problem. Like, it is going to be a problem for you. And she alluded to the fact that she listened to some rap artists before they were even making music. But it was also what she said she listened to at a cookout. And I'm reminded of this because Jazz and I were together when she said that she listened to Beyonce Lemonade at a cookout, which is like the wrong It's not like, look at the faces here.
It's not
Nobody
cookout
believes
music.
that. None of us go
music.
to, which the whole cookout term, I think that's regional because I grew up going to barbecues, but whatever. The cookout, let's call it what it is. That is, they're saying that all of our words were created by Twitter, from the word child to barbecue. So who knows? Like, we don't real black people just okay, like whatever. But I think when it comes to this, like, that level of genuineness is what people are going to be looking for. Like, we are, and I'm going to play this clip of, like, we know that, and Kia, you hit the nail on the head, because I think what I want to get to is that we have to be intent on educating. And I want to talk about education to our people, because this is a family conversation, right? So I want to talk about education and how important that is, but also owning your words, because you have to own your words. And she said this, it's a short clip, but when she was running against Joe Biden, she said this famously.
Speculate about running mates. I encourage that, because I think that Joe Biden would be a great running mate. As vice president, he's proven that he knows how to do the job. And there are certainly a lot of other candidates that would make.
So
the tables turn.
And I feel like that was politics. That was all politics, right? She's like, he's been a vice president before. He would be a great running mate as my vice president. She said that, but undoubtedly, I mean, I wouldn't be Alex if I didn't play that. But we know that people are going to be asking her, like, girl, Kamala, what happened? And she is going to get caught off guard. You're going to, with this generation of not just journalists, but we have another type of people that are in media right now that are just fishing for answers and fishing for questions and fishing for your real truth. What do you think her response is going to be? Like, I was playing politics. She'll be truthful.
Well, I think ultimately, like, candidly speaking, I don't think anyone necessarily would want to say in any campaign race that they technically would be the second best. Right. I think Kamala took an opportunity to put herself in the race as the front runner of the race, and she rightfully so should do that. Now, politics comes into play when in terms of what's the greater good here? Do we have an opportunity to collectively to come together and make a joint decision on reform and really do what the country needs, or am I going to remain in the place of putting myself in the number one spot and continuing to run opposed to being a changer? I think that's where we do have to understand that politics it comes into play, but there's a sense of greatness and a goal to be achieved, and I think Kamala is trying to be on the winning team,
From a policy standpoint, and I think I want to hear what all of you think specifically, and then I got my Gen Zer here because I really value what they think, because I think that there are just no one's thinking about them. People, like, especially the people that are running these campaigns, they are just ignoring them, and what they think and feel matters because they are citizens. They can vote. And we also have to be careful that they are educated, because I think a lack of education puts us in situations that none of us want to be in. And we are in those situations right now. I think we're almost in dire straits because there's so many people that aren't educated. So any education, and I think if there's a party that understands that, it's the Republican Party. Any education to people that aren't educated is enlightenment. So the moment that you start bringing or spitting things that they don't know or they don't remember, they buy into it. And so there's been a huge movement. I mean, from the Angela Stanton Kings to a number of people that are speaking on behalf of the Republican Party. And we have some great examples, right? Like, we know that Donald Trump is a liar and a crook and all these other things, right? But if you put him up to just one thing, and let's say one thing about politics, and you don't know anything else, which is I don't know how we got here, because I feel like, people that have grown up in this American system, you should know at least the core values of the system, know how the branches work. You should know something. But as pop culture shows like Insecure show us, that people believe that we have all types of branches of government.
Bank of America.
I think we underestimate the nation's laziness to a large degree, and that transcends through culture, through color, creed, whatever. I think a lot of people are we just think that there are more intellectual people in the world, and that may not be the case.
Listen, Alex, you and I continuously talk about this and mention it. America is 27th in education in the world. 27th. And when you really sit and think about that, 27th, when the number of people that I think all of us probably come across who do not truly understand how politics work, how electoral college works, what voting power really truly means, the number of elections that we have. I feel like I have voted every month for one thing or the other this year. But it's all important. There are runoff elections, there are special elections, people die, people retire, people, things happen. And I think that this year by far is probably the most text messages I have received, the most phone calls, the most emails, the most, hey, have you voted? The most, oh, we're hosting voter registration here, 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 and here. I do not think I have seen it to this degree before. And part of that is probably I am in a voter suppression state, period. But I think that education, that seems to be a key word during this conversation. I think it'll be a key word during this election and all future elections to come, of course. Education is key. I mean, yes, we need to learn about the policies and their positions. They need to choose positions for those policies and topics that they haven't really chosen positions on and stand firm with. But education is key. We have got to get people out to the polls. We have to teach people what voter suppression looks like and the rights when it comes to voter suppression and to voting rights. We have got to teach people of all generations what to do when you get there and they tell you, oh, your name doesn't match your ID, so we're going to turn you away, or, oh, we're out of paper ballots, or when your absentee ballot doesn't show up in time, what are your options? Education is just key.
I agree with you. What about the general people that just don't believe they see themselves? They don't see themselves in a party or a candidate. Where do they go and where do they, what do they do? How do we, is it each one teach one? How do we educate those that don't feel like they have a place or they feel like they've been displaced? Jasmine.
Well, that was going to be my question also, because I am a firm believer in educating people and talking to them, but we have to meet them where they are. And I don't know how you do that on a mass scale, right? Because everybody's interests aren't the same. And so we can talk to people about how important it is to vote in your local elections. And I mean, hell, on a national level, voting for the president. But if they don't feel like they're directly impacted by the issues, then it's hard to excite those people. So I'm in the same boat of asking the question of how do we educate people outside of their own interests?
What do you say to people that are one issue voters? Because I think for a lot of people, there is this entire conversation. There are false narratives, and we can play semantics and say, that there have been lies on one side, lies on the other side. Whatever your belief is, whatever it is, you really have to find out what that is. And I admonish people to do that before they make their votes. But for the people that are one issue voters in this upcoming election, and maybe the issue is something more near and dear to them, would you encourage them to just vote their heart or vote in the best interest of the collective? And that question is actually for Josh.
Okay, because I was going to answer.
Since you want to answer, I will let you answer.
No, I was just going to say I always, hands down tell people to vote in their own best interest, because I think at the end of the day, self-preservation is the first key to survival. And so I think you should always vote in your own best interest. However you take that, but I think always vote in your own number one.
Fair. Josh.
So I think as I've heard the discussion tonight, I think what's really at play here is that we are stuck in this two-party system. I think a lot of the frustration that Gen Zers are facing, and obviously even millennials are facing, is the fact that we are asking too much from these two parties. We're looking forward, we're asking for change, And I mean, I think that is why Barack Obama won in 2008, 2012. He was a change candidate. And let's be clear, I think that is also part of why Donald Trump won in 2016. He was considered the
Very
change
true.
candidate.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton was not. She was the party, like she had cleared the way for the party. The party supported her. She was the institutional candidate. And so my thing is, if the Democratic Party realized that, which I'm not convinced they did in the last 4 years, if Kamala, because it's not going to be Joe. Joe's clearly going to be like, the party candidate. If somehow they can make sure that Kamala is seen as a change agent and one that will be better than Donald Trump, I think that is how you recapture the vote. Like, I think there's something to the fact that there are people who voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012, but then voted for Trump. Like, that's not, I mean, yes, race plays into these things, and, like, you all voted for this racist and this, misogynist. But I think for people, like, they want change. We only have two choices when it comes to the presidential election, because there's no way in which, a third-party candidate is viable at this point. But yeah, I mean, these parties are still invested in this until we start seeing ranked choice voting as actual options and ways that we can actually see the change. We're going to be stuck in this two-party system, but I think some of those things need to happen on more local levels, like at municipal elections and state elections. But until we actually start seeing, which is why I'm happy to see some of the grassroots people out here doing the actual activism, the education and whatnot. I'm going to be stuck like when my mentee shows up on my porch. We were socially distancing on my porch, but he shows up at 27 and says there's no difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And even when I said to him, Supreme Court justice, because I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is holding on by a thread. She might already be dead right now. I'm like, I actually care about those things. Like, I actually want somebody, like, I need her to retire because she's really holding on.
You did not understand that.
Yeah, but like that for me is like what he's really speaking to is like, I'm frustrated with these two parties, and we need this change agent. We need somebody, or we need people who actually care about actual not policies, but the change.
Okay, so here's the thing, and so and this is where I get lost. So we've got this huge party. We know that you don't have to identify. I'm not asking for people to identify with parties. I don't care what you identify with. That's not what this is about. But I do want to, I will say that, Republicans can deny. They deny science. They deny health. They deny people health care. They lie. They cheat. They steal. This lie was told yesterday.
In 1917, they say, right? The great pandemic certainly was a terrible thing where they lost anywhere from 50 to 100 million people. Probably ended the Second World War. All the soldiers were sick. That was a terrible situation.
Okay, so there. I know it's dynamic to watch.
Can I say this? I always wonder because Meghan McCain prided herself on historical news and being able. I would love to know what Meghan, when he says things like that, what
she hates
say?
him. She hates.
I know
him, so,
she hates him, but
yeah.
this is also she also voted him in. So,
I mean,
what do you say when you hear this from the person that you voted into office?
You've got people that will literally sit and lie to you about everything. Like, first of all, there was no pandemic in 1917. There just wasn't. In 1918 and went into 1919, it was the Spanish flu. We all know about it. There were tons of people that died, but it's not what ended World War II, because that happened in 1939.
I was gonna say 38. I was like, it was like
and
30,
ended
late
in
30s.
1945. So
World War I ended in 1918. He was just wrong. He was just
because he's always wrong.
Right. He's always wrong. He always lies. He always lies. And he's always wrong.
Or it was a joke. It was a joke.
No,
and
he's a dumbass.
The tweets at 3 a.m., those are jokes as well. Like, it's not, it is. So I get, I think I love Whoopi Goldberg, and she says often, like, I say to the one issue voters, I think you really should start start with your one issue locally. So I'm not one to tell people what to do or how to vote. I say vote your heart, definitely. But start looking at what affects your one issue around you first. Because when you think about the general election for everybody, I don't think that I ever discovered my true frustration that we are all in this together until this year. And I had an experience where I went, it was supposed to be like a vacation retreat, and it's where people in the Northeast, they go to enjoy themselves. It was not, I need to go again because it wasn't enjoyable for me. I didn't want to go out there. I was in the middle of nowhere. I felt like anything could happen and I could die. And what I realized, like I literally said this with the people I was traveling with pre-COVID, that I could disappear out here, literally, in these sticks. It's some sticks in Philadelphia. I would just be out here and nobody would know where I am. But these people that live this life, that really don't need any laws, because you don't live near anybody. There's no one here. Vote for the same things that affect me. And thinking about that way is what made me kind of start changing my thinking. It allowed me to start changing my thinking around the general election a little bit, just to vote for, in that election, things that affect a lot of people. But when I think about like the main issue of, and I don't want to take us far off here, but I do want to talk one issue voter before we talk education and a few other things that I want to get in. And you think of the issue of like, I'll for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say abortion. It's an issue that I made up my mind a long time ago. I can't have a baby, so this isn't a decision for me. I don't make decisions for other women, so I stay out of that decision. I think a woman should have a right to choose. That is what I believe. And people are like, well, I believe. You can believe what you want to believe. That's a faith-based decision. But to say things like, you know, if you're not pro-life, then the only opposite of that is anti-life and you're for death. It's a misnomer and it's a mischaracterization of how people actually feel. There's nobody that's actually anti-life. There's just people that elevate women in their belief and that we shouldn't have anything to do with their bodies. And so I think that, like, without context, there's a lot of outrage that goes into it voting. And when we have the conversation about just one issue voters, and it's often fueled by outrage or misinformation, which is, I think, if we're going to attack anything, and not maybe attack's the wrong word, if we're going to address anything in correcting the education problem we have with the current electorate, it may be to really just offer true information. And because I think we have to start approaching this in different ways, right? Generation Z is coming to this with a different viewpoint, different feelings, and a different understanding. And I think if we continue to just address things the same way that we always have, we're going to miss a lot of people in voting. Not for a specific party, but people just aren't going to get involved in it because they don't feel like they have a voice. When it comes to how we educate or what we educate, Tiff, what would you change? And I'm going to bring Jaleesa back just for a second to ask what, as a Gen Z voter, where's your head at with things that you don't know? Tiff, you go first and then Jaleesa.
So the question to me was, what would I change about education?
Yeah. I said a lot, sorry.
So maybe it's just me. I didn't go through high school, middle school, all of that too long ago, but it was long enough ago that I'm sure things have changed, and probably not for the better. Because again, number 27, I think that education is empowerment. And I think that a lot of times in this country, there are so many educational disparities in different communities, especially and particularly communities of color, that for us to get education would empower us. And of course, a lot of people don't want that. So I think for me, educational disparities is a must fix. Like, we have to just fix that across the board, period. But I think that training, not just on, I remember when I was taught history and government, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue and all of that, and then got older and I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's trash. I don't remember being taught in depth about how the Electoral College worked and the history of it, and that some white men weren't even allowed to vote back in the day, and definitely not my Black behind. I think that I wasn't. I don't recall. Maybe somebody else on here does. I don't recall being taught about the Electoral College. I remember having to learn the Constitution and the amendments, but I don't remember learning how those could empower me for voting rights, for empowerment, for local municipalities and my community, what that meant. It was more on a broader scale. And so I just think that we have to really change how we use our educational tools as empowerment tools and really begin to put that power back into the hands of the people who really could take this country by force if we wanted to. But I just think we need to really use education as empowerment.
Yeah, I feel like that was all by design. But Jaleesa, when you think about the education or education that you don't have, or the resources that you may not have, you don't know too much about how all of this works, and you're actually fresh out of the American education system. How do you feel, or do you feel empowered that you can make a solid decision when you vote this fall?
Kinda in some ways. I feel like I have a different environment than others. I'm around other Black people who are actively like in politics and kind of educating themselves and going around and spreading information. But the first thing I think about when I think about educating the Black youth as a 21-year-old and knowing what I know now, I feel like the textbooks that we can sue those companies, right? Because all that stuff is live. And we grew up knowing nothing and rereading the same things for 12 years. Also, like, you're having reference. So we know what we don't want America to look like, but we don't really know what we do want America to look like. And if we do, is it Joe and Camilla? That's
I got it. Josh, I wanna ask you, and just lay this out there. One thing that you want to see from a Biden-Harris administration.
What I want to see, this is going to sound really broad. This is not me avoiding the question, but I really want to see some articulations of change. I personally think that, Biden's plan, the Lift Every Voice plan, I actually thought that was the first time we actually saw a presidential candidate actually lay out some plans specifically towards African Americans. People kind of clowned him for that. But I was like, we didn't get that from Barack Obama. We just assumed. I personally didn't, but en masse, we assumed that. I really want to see them carry out some of those policies. Obviously, Biden, jogged a lot to the left just because of the nature of where we were between this pandemic and the post-George Floyd. I actually want to see him and Kamala actually carry that out. I want to see more than what we just got from the Obama administration. As far as I'm concerned, the only policy thing, and I don't even call it a real policy situation, that we got from the Obama administration was the I Am My Brother's Keeper situation. I'm like, that was throwaway. That was perfunctory. So yeah, I really want to see them go back to that plan, actually hold people's feet to the fire, actually do your level best to actually get that done. I know that takes Congress and whatnot, but I actually want to see some movement on that. And I would consider that good, given the way my pragmatic approach to politics, but yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. Jasmine, same question. What do you want to see from a Biden-Harris administration?
I want to see more protection for Black women, particularly with the I've been drinking too much of this, but the infant mortality, right? Like, I'm really afraid to have a child in this country because of how many Black women die giving birth, and that's where I get really, really selfish with it. Is I really want to see some change in some policy that will directly benefit Black women, and then we can on a broader scale. But I'm selfish this time around. I think forever moving forward, I need to see what's gonna benefit me. How are you gonna make things better for me as a Black woman?
I love to hear that, because I think that people should get selfish. And like I said, a lot of the enlightenment comes around not just thinking about what do I want. People don't even start thinking about how politics affect them until they have affected them. And so we live in these systems that affect so much of what we do and how we do it. And I think that has really fueled where we are. Farrell, when you think about this administration, what do you want to see from a Biden-Harris administration?
I don't want to make my answer long-winded, but I'll say this. I want to see a duality. I want to see things that are benefiting the people now and that are preparing for that are things that benefit now and also benefit those to come. Um, I want timelines to be met, with in terms of policy writing, policy execution, and those same things be felt in the terms that you're in. I think oftentimes we've seen over the past 3, 4 presidents specifically, that's the reference I have really, that a lot of things don't take effect until the following president. So it's almost like a catch-up game and a pickup. And I think that this is the opportunity that we have so many movements going on that require immediate attention. Something can get done now from the top. And like I said, the duality of that in conjunction with, execution and operationally things being done at the same time in a timely fashion.
Okay. And Kia, of course, I want to know, what do you want to see from a Biden-Harris administration? And then I want to talk a little bit about what we are going to expect going forward as we kind of head towards the election. Go ahead.
I would love to see them address the wealth gap in America, and to do that with a critical racial lens. So to really look at the things that are causing the wealth gap and address that, from the cost of healthcare in America, which we've seen, like, we are in the middle of a global pandemic where millions of people have lost their job, which means they lose health insurance benefits, which means if they get sick, they have a doctor's bill. So to see them address things like that, to see them address student loan and how that disproportionately affects Black and brown folks, and to see them address systemic racism and how that affects our ability to build wealth by buying houses, by the racism in the workplace and unequal pay, and to really address those things. And also, to tax corporations and millionaires and billionaires properly, so that the burden of the country doesn't fall on working people. So I want to see them address those things so that we have a more equal playing field across the board.
Okay, these are things that I think that we all want to see and hope to see, and I think that we need to be vocal about wanting these things as we go forward. One thing that I'm really concerned about is we talk about education, and I'm going to pivot for a little bit. I want to talk about how things are going to be framed going forward. And I think the education piece of this conversation was so important, because the framing of what we have known up until this point is going to be totally different. The framing, we know that the moment this was announced today, Donald Trump did not encourage. There were two things that happened, and I played Donald's comments. I'm going to play how Mike Pence responded, and then we're going to come back and talk about one other thing.
So my message to the Democrat candidate for vice president: congratulations. I'll see you in Salt Lake City.
Lame. That was so lame.
But that was what we've expected and what we've seen from presidents in the past. I will see you on the campaign trail. This is America. We are all Americans. We're not really against each other. I don't know that. I don't care, honestly. After what Donald and Mike have done for the last 3.5 years, there's not a word that I want to hear out of any one of them. I lost all respect for Mike Pence when he stood in front of America and announced to us the United States the sixth branch of the military, the United States Space Force. That's when most of my respect for him went out the window, because I literally thought I was watching Star Trek: Next Generation, and it was just insane to watch. We know that whatever. With Donald, there's nothing that comes out of his mouth that ever makes sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But Mike was he was diplomatic. He was stately in his response. Jasmine, I think you're calling him Sister Mary Fake.
Yes, I am. And I'm also just like Sister Mary, no sauce. Like, you can tell he said that and he thought the crowd was going to go wild, and their response was so delayed. Like, oh, I just can't.
But have you ever believed anything that has come out of Mike Pence's mouth?
Sweetie, I don't pay attention to Mike Pence. I just don't. I don't pay attention to Mike Pence. You know, Donald Trump. I loved when you played the clip of Donald Trump when they asked him if Kamala was a liar or a phony, and he skated by the fact that she lies, because that nigga knows that he's not a nigga. That man knows that he lies all the time, so he had to quickly skate by that and start talking about what she wants to slash, like the budget that she wants to cut and all that. It's just it's a comedic shit show at this point. I think the best thing, and I don't mean that this is a good thing, but I think the best thing that could have happened to the Democratic Party for this election year was COVID, because now anybody who was on the fence, who didn't know if they were going to vote for Trump or vote Democrat, they've gotten a chance to see how Donald Trump handled a pandemic. They've gotten a chance to see how he handled social injustice in a complete uprising, right? They got a clear view of how he handles things, and I think that they are able to see that he's not the person that should be in charge. So I think, they do need to work hard for a lot of the younger votes, but I think for people our age and above, I mean, hell, even Gen Z, because they got all of their internships and like their first jobs snatched away from them because
their graduations.
Right? Like they should be pissed off enough to be like, you know what? Kanye's not gonna do it. Let me. I know Joey, I know Swag, I know Kamala is Kamala, right? But let me vote for them, because at least with them, maybe I'll get to like finally get a job, or like.
Here's the thing, I'm on the fence with that because of this reason. I think that the lack of education causes people to not understand how this country is run, and so they see and we read about what other countries can do and how dictators lead, and assume that so many things can just be done because we have elevated the office of president to look like king everywhere else. And I think, honestly, that's what attracted the narcissism in Donald to the position in the first place, right? If it did not seem like a powerful figurehead, it was not something that he would want to do at all. But I think that's where I think some people truly believe that he's doing exactly what a king is supposed to do, and all of us have the issue because we don't really know, what should be there. So I think that's why I'm skeptical, but I actually agree with you. When it comes to the framing, because we talked about Donald and we talked about Mike, I believe, and I guess I'll say this here, I wanted to delay it as long as I could, but the truth is, not only will there be continual attacks, like we know the way that he attacked Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas and said foul things to, I remember when Carly Fiorina was running in 2016 and the way that he will walk behind her at the debates and try to hover over her to intimidate, like the things and tactics that he's done. He won't be able to do a lot of these things with Kamala, but I do think it's going to get really spicy. He's already been a race baiter. For those people that won't call him a racist, that he's been a race baiter and very divisive in that moment. What type of attacks and how can we be prepared as a people for some of the vile attacks that are coming here?
I think we can completely expect a shit show moving forward. It won't be pretty. it will be as ugly as he has been in the past. I think what's important for us is to stay focused. What is working for me is I have a vision of who we can be as a society and as a country, how we can be a community who cares for each other. And I am always working like, what is the next step to get us to that point? So just staying focused on that and not giving his distractions and not letting him control the news cycle with these distractions and the ridiculousness of all that is to come from his 3 a.m. tweet. And to really stay focused on the fact that this is a extremely important political moment where we will decide the future of the nation. And just to always remember that, always be hopeful, and to do the work to make sure we get the results that we need to be happy and to be well.
Certainly.
Got you. So there, Donald and crew were ready after Kamala's announcement. This was the attack ad that was released by the Trump campaign moments after Kamala was announced as the VP pick.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Woo!
As a member of the radical left, I'm offended by that ad.
I'm offended.
Kamala are as left or radical as you get in the Democratic Party. They are like solidly center. That is
solid. The reason I like Kamala Harris is because she is honestly she teeters on Democratic and Republican policy. She is dead center. So for that to be the rhetoric that she is the far left, are you kidding me?
But that's what excites his audience. That's what excites the audience. Like it's propaganda. Like you have to do and say whatever you can. I honestly, and I'm not a politician, so I know I was asking Kamala for a job once upon a time, but like because I am like, oh, okay, so now you need to get on their level because first of all, like we're talking about, we know that older Black voters, older Democrats, they already have Joe as their guy, right? Like we know there's a subset of people who already are happy about Kamala, like I am not my ancestors, Twitter, Twitter, all of them. They are on the Kamala train now, right? Black women as a VP, but they're still trying to get these younger voters. And I keep coming back to them because like we are the ones that decided like Obama's election, right? Like we were the first or second time voters. So we decided that I think it's going to come down to Gen Z. So I think speaking their language, get petty with their ass. Get right back petty with them. Oh, I'm Slow Joe. I'm phony Kamala. Like get right on their level. And like, that's how you will attract those younger voters because they're like, that's what they said about Donald Trump. He had his Twitter fingers. Like he was the news because he was so active on social media. And I think Kamala and Joe should take some of that strategy and kind of meet him where he is with that because, I always thought like just ignoring Donald Trump would make him go away. But I think, getting on his level, if you can hit as hard
that's what he feels about coronavirus. Like
I feel like, and to piggyback off of a statement made earlier about the swagger aspect of the presidency, I think that's kind of funny that's even at this point a conversation about the president and his temperament of pop culture. I think that honestly, Joe was bridged into pop culture via Barack Obama. They had a brotherhood in a way in terms of pop culture media and how we saw them. I think he has that esteem of being a persona or a caricature in pop culture. So if anything, I think Kamala adds to that because it's almost like the drunk uncle and the hard auntie kind of vibe.
I think that they really need to like almost split it and attack it from different angles. You've got to meet different generations. You've got to meet the different, each of you kind of hit on what that one issue is for you, or what those two issues are for you. This is, if they have a good strategist, or three, then this is a really good opportunity for them to kind of split and strategize on, okay, you hit this side of the fence, you hit this side of the fence, you hit these topics, you hit these topics. We're going to stand firm on these topics. Here are our decisions that we're going to stand on for this platform. Both of them, really, when you think about it, we have two people on a ticket who have iffy criminal justice, social justice.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have to combat that on both sides, on both tickets. You have both on the mandatory minimums, on the decriminalization or legalization of marijuana. You have the prosecutorial history of that Kamala has to combat, whether she was running for president herself and now that she's the VP pick. So you have two candidates on one ticket that really have a lot that they have to answer for when it comes to previous statements, previous policies, previous voting records, previous things that they supported or didn't support, previous things that they weren't firm on. If they have a really good strategy, this is really a good opportunity for them to really just split and kind of hit the different sides and different angles. And if they don't do that, then we really run the risk of still not getting this asshat clown out of 1600 Pennsylvania. And that just can't happen. He's got to go. He's got to go. And I
think that we have to understand they need to understand, honestly, how to get the American people to completely understand the game that they have by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also understanding what game there is to Donald Trump at this point. What more can he offer you that we can on this side? And if that's and getting that decision to be made, I think is the primary thing they should have, and the acknowledgement of where they both stand. There has to be a system of accountability for their past. I think they have to handle that, but they have to do it in a not a damage control kind of way, but they need to steer the narrative when it comes to their past.
It needs to be well organized and methodical. I mean, really. So what do we do if we were talking about the one issues and things like that? What do we do regardless of what happens in, let's be honest, probably December? Because I've heard a lot of strategists and analysts saying that we won't know on election day. So what do we do regardless of the outcome when no matter who wins, we don't get, as a people, as citizens, we don't get what we need out of our country? I just don't think we as a people can afford to wait another 4 years to see who we're going to get in the office then and try to make some changes. So what can we do, talking about education as empowerment, what do we do when, even if our party does win, even if we get who we need, if they still aren't kind of reaching what we need, they're still not doing what we need them to do. They're still not hitting the social justice. They're still not hitting the Black female mortality rate in this country when it comes to infant birth. They're still not hitting mandatory minimums. They're still not hitting marijuana legalization or decriminalization. They're still not hitting all of these hot button issues, immigration, border control, things of that nature. What do we do in the meantime in the 4 years, regardless of who gets into that White House?
We educate and we organize. And I think one thing that we do is the mistake that I've made before is to rely too much on politicians to do all of this work. What I am very aware of now is there are political advocacy organizations who are doing this work 365 days of the year. They are working on some issue to create the world that they have envisioned. And it is our responsibilities as citizens to find the organization that aligns with our values and to work with them so that we can get change. Same-sex marriage did not happen in America because people had a moral awakening and they thought that, oh, yes, we should do this because it's right by people. It happened because people were organizing. They were raising money. They were talking to politicians, and there were people in their houses who were supporting those organizations.
You know what's hard, Kia? I don't want to cut you off. I want you to keep going, but I want to say what's hard is for people to realize that work's being done without them being a part of it.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that is a huge fact. I think you hit something so hard. That's why I had to interrupt, because there is advocacy work that is literally happening. People advocating for you, whether you want to speak on it or not. Freedoms that you have that you're able to embrace right now are happening. When we hear, well, what about black on black crime? We don't need to talk about crime because it's crime. There's no black on black, white on white. At 84%, there's none of that, but there are activists and people fighting gun violence in black communities every single day. So why is Black Lives Matter? Like, there are people that are doing that, and I think not enough people realize that this is something that we are combating, and I don't think that point could have been made any further. I think it goes back to education. Some people don't know because they don't know. Some people don't know, or they believe that they can't.
Yes. And election day is important. Don't get me wrong, but there is work to be done every day. And AOC,
it doesn't start or stop there. It started way before. Yeah.
Yes. And AOC posted on her Instagram page the other day, like, we are electing who we are going to work with and hold accountable, not our saviors. The work and the activism must continue no matter what. Republicans are a disaster, and we cannot afford Trump to win a second term. But we also shouldn't hang our hat and go to brunch just if the Dems win either. Elections are the beginning of the work. So we have to be involved in this everyday work of democracy and making our country, our society, our communities better than they are today.
What about what about accountability? And that's one place I want to go as we kind of bring this to a close. I also have to say that I'm so happy to see the three of you back on the cabinet, because like, Tiff, I know that you've seen a dream team conversation with these three. And I think we have to have more of these conversations as we trek towards November, and just period. Like, there's not enough conversation that happens. And that is the primary key. I have a habit of wearing my emotions and my expressions and my true feelings on my face. So I am often disheartened if I start talking about something like this and people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Or they're like, oh, we got to vote? That's this year?
But that's when you kindly say, yes, friend. Are you registered? Let's
I don't know how to do that. I don't know. I can't. I'm not going. Like,
we talked about this. We can't look down on our people when they don't know.
But you're absolutely
I'm sorry, my
right.
faces speaks for themselves. And before I can fix it, I'm just.
You can scold them. Listen, you can scold them, but after you do that, say, you know what? I'm pissed right now that you don't know, but because you don't care, we can register you from your phone. Right? Like,
I actually did that one time in Bar Taco with the manager who had never voted.
I always say,
you gotta do
it. I do have a bat to beat you down, but I got a hand to pick you up after. So that said, you will. I do have it if need be, but I do also have a hand to pick you up. I have injected, this my rhetoric, how I feel about the world, and to my friends, to people I don't know, and to coworkers, stop saying silent. No, it does not work. I am not my ancestor. I refuse to have my voice silenced in the eyes of anyone, my ally or my enemy. And if you take issue with you, then
I mean,
here's the balance.
This is not this conversation, but you did it, so let's have it. Were they actually silent, our ancestors?
Oh, see.
No, they weren't. It's actually disrespectful to say you're not your ancestors as if they were like some subservient, like, pushovers. Like, they were getting it done in a very different way, and they were doing it without social media. So it can look like activism now, but they were actually out there.
Here's what I will say. Right now, we are whining on Twitter because Kamala is the VP and she is not who we wanted. Our answers, we are unable to endure what our ancestors endured, just based off our reaction in this moment. Like,
this finger.
That's it right there. And I, for one, am my ancestor. I'm Ida B. Wells all through and through.
Like, I think that goes back to like how our ancestors' stories have been told. Like, who have we been
and who told them?
Yeah,
who told them?
Yeah,
who told them and how these? Go ahead.
No, I think it's important. Like, we did not get here out of luck. Like, we came from strong people to even be here in this moment right now. And I think to draw on that strength, like, I don't know if y'all watch John Lewis' funeral, but you hear those people talk about like what he endured. And I was one, like, in my younger days, John Lewis annoyed me. His act always annoyed me because he had this preacher voice. And I was like, why are you doing? But to know his story and to know what he endured, like, how can you not pull strength from that?
Mm-hmm. Education does so much, because if you know what you know about John Lewis, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I tell people, like, he was my congressman all the time that I lived in Atlanta and my life, right? So I feel, even when I didn't know what he was talking about or what he was saying, because I couldn't understand what he was saying, I was just like, you know what? If John Lewis told me to go march in the street in front of the bus, I'm gonna do it, because it's John Lewis. And that's kind of where I was. But I think going back to who told these stories, I think that's so key. Who's telling this story about Martin Luther King? That he was a white assimilationist, because he was not. Like, the stories that we hear and we perpetuate, and you listen to white people talk about Martin Luther King, you would think they was out here holding hands with him and singing Kumbaya in 1960, and they were the main ones that wanted him dead. Let's just talk about it. They also killed him.
That's a whole other show.
There's so many things that we can say about
right.
So many things about Diddy.
Now you got the viewers thinking I'm against the people. This is wordplay, folks. It was wordplay. Okay, but yes, I agree.
You know, you are, but it spared the conversation.
Yeah.
Say that, and they forget. Yeah, anyone who knows me knows Ida B. Wells is one of my favorite women. Period. Like, just of all times. And so I think that I didn't learn about Ida B. Wells in my very white public school education. I learned about Ida B. Wells in the African American history books that my mother forced me to read at home. I learned about MLK and Rosa Parks every February in elementary, middle, and high school. I didn't learn about Claudette Colvin. I didn't learn about Madam C.J. Walker. I didn't learn about all of the countless greats. And so I think that when we really get, and again, the whole thread throughout this conversation has been education is key. Education is empowerment. When we begin to really look at, one, what our ancestors went through in order to even be able to pick up the right or to get the right to vote, fought, bled, died to get the right to vote. And white people, that's not just us. Some of your people had to fight too, because you had to own property in order to be able to vote back in the day.
But who was also property?
So I think that you really have
that's your thumbnail right there. That's the thumbnail right there.
I think that we really have to really spend some time educating. And again, I really believe I have voted on something every month in my county this year. It's been
that's voter suppression. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. But we have to, again,
you shouldn't have to vote every month.
When you get to your voting location, first of all, you need to be able to figure out where that is, because especially this year, they're moving it, they consolidating voting locations. You can't do this, you can't do that. Your ID has to match exactly. You
You
can't
literally have to go online and check every single time to check, okay, is this my zone? Is this where is it at? It's not at the
Yep.
school anymore. It's up the block. It changed because of X, Y, and Z. Because of COVID, it changed around, but it's still a school. So I
I
don't
have
understand.
voted in 4 different locations this year.
Oh,
I went to another one. What was that, Friday, Alex? I think I was on the phone with you, and I went to another one. The signage was horrible. I got there and I was like, okay, it's a mall. Where do I go? It's a full mall. Where am I supposed to go to vote? So, people have to go to work. People have to take care of their families. People can't afford to stand in lines for 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 hours like they were doing at an election here in Georgia a couple of months ago. So I think that we really have to spend some time, again, educating.
On the flip side, though, and you're so right, but I think that part of our education is going to tell people that this year you're going to have to be patient.
Oh, yes.
If we don't start having that conversation right now, we're going to have all these people that we are hyping up and telling and exciting them and educating them and getting them ready to do this. They're going to get there and be pissed off because now they've had to wait and we didn't set them up for that. So I think...
Well, true, because they haven't necessarily even done it before. Especially when you're talking about Generation Z, they have no idea the obstacles you go through trying to walk through the door and and knowing that your vote counted. So it is the same.
Most likely you will be dealing with somebody that's a senior or that's handling you at the voting booth. A lot of the times the poll workers are a little older or there's something else going on and they're here to help you, but it's not a Speedy Gonzalez. I will say, I was surprised. When I voted in 2008 for Barack Obama the first time, there was nobody there. The little school if you knew the part of Atlanta that I had to vote in, it's really the La Vista Road area. You guys that are from Atlanta, there's a lot of trees over there and schools and old homes and things like that. So it just didn't really. But my 2012 experience, okay. The line was
I think we should honestly, and this may be before we're thinking, but I'll say it just for the sake of the conversation. I think as we progress with this, and we should optimize. The country needs to know how to optimize that. And my suggestion is this way: treat it like it's jury duty for someone in their, I'm going to say 25 to 28 range or 25 to 35 range. Someone that is acclimated to technology, someone that is agile, and it's a paid obligation.
I mean, it is paid, but everything else that we're going to end here, but everything else that you're asking for there will change with legislation when we make voting day a holiday, like it should be. Because the right people are in office and willing to put that legislation out there and pass that legislation. You have to keep in mind, people innately believe and trust their leaders. And I said this. Go ahead, Kia.
I'm sorry. We also have to understand who is making these voting decisions, because I look back to Georgia's election in 2018. Stacey Abrams was up for governor. Everyone showed up, but there was a runoff for Secretary of State, and the numbers for the people who voted in that runoff election were down low. The Secretary of State is the person who determines your election laws and where these voter machine goes and what the process looks like. If we don't say how the political system works, we don't know when it's important for us to show up. And now we are claiming we are in 2020 and we're crying because we're waiting in line for 6 hours again.
Well, I think that's the exact point that I wanted to hit. People innately trust and believe their leaders, whether you voted for them or not. And that is where we are. That is hugely problematic because this is why America is where it is with the COVID-19 pandemic right now, because people blindly trust leadership, whether they voted for them or not, that they are not going to lead them astray, that they're not going to leave me out to die. We look at what's happening again in Georgia right now. Paulding County High School, 9 people out for COVID-19. We've all seen the viral photo of plenty of kids in the hallway. The rest of them haven't even been tested yet. Cherokee County, over 200. What is it? I think it's up into like 900s now. The number of people that are quarantined, they can't come back to school right now. For why? Like what? Because people trust their leadership. They trust that, well, despite all of this outrage and the entire world has shut down, my leader in Georgia really has my best interests at heart. So I'm gonna just go ahead and go to school. And we found ourselves in a lot. God is working on my heart. There are people that have died, that have regurgitated this rhetoric, and they have perished. They are no longer here, and because they believed leaders. And so I think when it comes to voting, the people that are voting for the first time, they trust the process, and they're skeptical of all of this left, right, mumbo jumbo, because they just feel like, well, it's a process that should just work. There's no way there would be a party intent on suppressing the other side. Based on what you're taught, like there's just this belief that people don't believe that. So there's so much here. We could go forever, but I can't because we're really out of time. So I want to give everybody a final word because, again, my faves are here. All of you. Not just, my favorite cabinet, but everyone here. My favorite. All right. Last word, Jaleesa, we'll start with you.
I just wanted to shine light on everything that Q said earlier about having community leaders and leading our community and trusting those leaders. Also, I feel like even though you guys aren't in the street individually, like helping every single Black person you see, as Gen Z, as a 21-year-old, just being able to sit and watch and listen and absorb and soak in the conversation that you guys are having, it's a part of the work that needs to be done. These are conversations that we need to watch as a Generation Z. These are the conversations that we need to be having, not with each other, with you guys. Y'all have experienced more than we have as far as like the Barack Obama, just everything. And I just really appreciate being on the this night.
Well, we
That's
appreciate
so
you.
heartwarming. Oh my God.
I know.
That's really heartwarming. But I think it's the same on our side too, right? Like we have to listen to the youth. We have to listen to Gen Z. Like they, we have our joke of like, we are not our ancestors. Like Gen Z is, I think, even more fearless than millennials are. And so I think it's important for all of us to kind of like be in community with one another. And just really, listen to each other, be willing to educate, be willing to stop talking down to each other when, we aren't educated. I feel like I say that every single show, Alex. But it's so important.
It's a HB core value. That's okay.
It is. It really, really is. I'm super huge on that. And I guess that's going to be my final word is, education is important. We've talked about that throughout this broadcast, but let's just be willing to be kind to each other, extend grace for those of us who don't know, because we know, we're number 27, as Tiff said. So there's a bunch of us who don't know shit. And so they need grace and they need people who are willing to teach without making them feel like they're stupid, because nobody learns in those types of environments.
Very good. Thank you so much. HB Pharaoh, your final word.
Final words. Final word, duality. I think there is such a necessity for us to understand one another that we cannot exist without the other side. I would not be here. I cannot ask for change if I don't look to someone above me or below me, and they look back to me and say, "Hey, I'm putting myself aside to understand what we need and what we want." Those are my final words. I look forward to this climb towards balance and the duality between people's needs and their wants, and how we can come to an agreement and an understanding of one another. And I think that this is no better time to do it. So,
listen, I must agree. And in more ways than one, Kia.
This is going to be a shit show. No doubt about it. So I think right now where we are still where we still have some sense of calm, it's important that we ground ourselves and center ourselves in something to know what we're working for. So no matter what goes on around us, we are centered in that thing and we can do the work to get to where we want to be.
But we can do the work. That is key.
We can
like
do
the fact
the work.
that we can do the work.
Also,
Tiff,
Kia, I do want to just thank you really quickly because I didn't know the Secretary of State decides about the voting and you that. So that the more you know, okay?
Yeah.
Learning
so apply
from
that to Brian Kemp in Georgia actually being the Secretary of State and then running for governor as Secretary of State, overseeing the elections.
And you know what? 2 + 2 did not equal 4 for me. Then she said it on my phone. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, did it all.
For those of us who don't know everything, those of us who are still learning.
Yes, and we all are. Like, none of us know everything. And I think that's the other thing, if I can get 2 final words, is to surround yourself with someone who knows more so that you're constantly learning and growing. And
1000%.
100%. I agree. 100%. We ain't a lie. Lanelle.
I think that to really summarize it for me is to bring back a point that Kia mentioned of the work is really 365 days of the year. It's not just election day. And so I think that if nothing else, it is on us to, I am always and forever will be a proponent of getting involved in your local community and your local elections because it starts at home, literally. And so I think that doing the part there, but I also want to challenge some organizations and people in communities to look up the grassroots organizations who are doing the work 365 days. And if you are a grassroots organization, to make sure that you are really thinking outside of the box of what you can do. I was messaging organizations during the last major primary, general primary election that we had a few months ago. Are y'all out there handing out water to people in lines? Are you handing out snacks? Are you giving out peanut butter crackers? Anything like that. You know, we talked about having patients in lines. That's the kind of work that, you know, organizing volunteers, not just sending text messages, but making sure you're driving people to the polls from rural areas, helping people acclimated with the website for their community and for their site, because again, Kemp's homie is now in our Secretary of State office and they are doing all kind of stuff, hiding where you can figure out where your voting location is. So if it's technical support, if it's making sure someone's registered to vote, if it's handing out water while people are standing in line at an elections or polling place or anything like that, there are many ways to get involved and to assist. But that work is 365 days of the year. So I just want to encourage and empower everyone to do all of that along with everything else everyone has said.
Very good. And thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that joined the cabinet tonight. Whew. The season has begun and these conversations will continue. I am elated that Kamala Harris was chosen as Joe Biden's vice presidential pick. And we're going to be watching this election. We will be following the election and we want you to participate in the election. I've been talking all day. Okay. So I think I can't thank this panel enough because none of us knew that Kamala would be selected today. And so we came together, we gave you these thoughts. And so take the conversation from this cabinet, like I asked you to do with any conversations that happen at the cabinet. This is a conversation that begins here and ends with you. Take it to, and again, with what's going on in the damn country, I don't understand what y'all are doing out and about. But since you're out, have these conversations there at the brunch table, at the lunch table, in the break room, in your text messages. These conversations should be happening. Yes, I know y'all are down with the WAP, and I'm here for it. However, we got some serious business to take care of today. I'm delusional and tired at this point. All right, so follow Unmuted Nation everywhere if this was your first time watching or listening. This show will air again tomorrow. on Boss FM Radio, the talk channel. You see the icon in the top. Just download Boss FM Radio from your app store. Click talk tomorrow at 1 p.m. You can hear this conversation. It's available on the podcast. Unmuted Nation, you can find it anywhere a podcast is available, but I would like you to download the Boss FM app and listen there. Unmuted Nation continues, and these conversations continue. I'm Alex Haynes. And remember, today is greater. Believe it, speak it, and live it. You have to make the choice to be great. Your situation is not your destination. So go motivate somebody. Have a great day and a great night. I'll see you next time.